Hi there, welcome back to my channel. It is Krista here to do the weekly reading for the sign of Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. If you don't know your Moon and Rising sign, Taurus, there's a link in the description box. You can check out your whole birth chart, and that way if you want additional messages on top of your Sun sign reading, you can always look at your Moon and Rising sign readings for the week. This is for July 4th until the 11th. I'll be using the Wisdom of the Oracle for the main spread and bottom of the deck for general energy. And then, of course, drawing from the Healing with the Angels Tarot and the Medicine Card Tarot to finish off the spread. In the past several months, I've been asking what are general messages for your sign. And then I did a little bit of contemplation around what I've been asking and how it could serve you better. And last week I asked, what does your sign need to know? And I really felt like it enhanced what was being drawn out of the cards and how I could help assess material in a way to present to you. So I'm going to keep using that question, and hopefully you find this helpful. But if not, always just let me know if it works for you or if it doesn't. But I shall continue this way and see how it works out for everyone. So Taurus, I wish for you all success, joy, and wellness. I call upon Archangels Michael, Gabriel, Metatron, and Uriel to guide this reading in peace, clarity, protection, and wisdom. And I ask that Gaia bless this reading for Taurus. So Taurus, what do you need to know? What does Taurus need to know? So we're just looking for 3 cards here. What does Taurus need to know? And as always, these are general readings. So whatever is most prominent in your life this week, Taurus, I'll encourage you to apply these messages to. Hopefully you find them helpful and healing. But sometimes I like the question, what do you need to know? Just because it's interesting if you're not aware of something already, or you are, but you didn't know how to proceed with it. And that's why I find this a little bit more of an interesting question than what are general messages. So what do you need to know about your general concern this week? What does Taurus need to know? All right, so we're on our second card. Let's get a final card here for you. What does Taurus need to know this week? Looking for a, here we go. So we have 2, and I will take this as bottom card energy. So we have in your central position, we have the card peace. We have go the distance to one side and time for a nap on the other side. And then we have thinker as bottom of the deck energy. Now this is very interesting because I would say is safely within the past 4, maybe 5 weeks, Taurus, you've had time for a nap show up frequently, as in more than once. So somebody, especially next to peace, you're not getting, you need rest. Okay, something's going on here that is, you're involved with a lot of peacemaking here that is draining you. Or something's being drawn from you and it's exhausting you. You could even be giving this away freely. I'm not saying that someone's stealing from you. I'm saying, and this has really nothing to do with anyone, like no one's doing something to you necessarily, but what I do see is you're exhausted. There's a great deal of exhaustion here, and you're not really sure how much more you can give. Okay, so bottom of the deck energy is the thinker. You can see that we've got this sort of fairy angel girl sitting on a block in thinker position. She is all about the head right now. This is all about what is going through her mind. So as bottom of the deck energy, like general energy for the week, this itself could be exhausting you, that there's so much thinking, there's so much planning, there's so many dotting the I's and crossing the T's and do it this way and be here this time. And I would even say, because this is the opposite of Dreamer, for example, or even the card Imagine in this deck, it has is everything to do with structuring and construct. Um, just think of a huge clock that everything that's going on here is about limits, okay? Time limits, constraints. That's what I'm really getting here. And because there's no overarching blue here, I wouldn't say that this is emotional. This is why I'm really gravitating toward the body and exhaustion here. So, okay. And then briefly just looking at some of the coloring here, we have some gold. There is a golden opportunity here in the Time for a Nap card. And I'm going to suggest, because of this spread, that the golden opportunity is your own personal healing, your own bodily healing, which you're going to require. You require this. Is it the next 7 days that you need to do this? Probably not. But do you need to sit down or take a breather or be able to get away from this overarching quote unquote clock that I'm using as a frame to frame the material world, all these isms and rules, etc. I think it might be really important, particularly this week, for you to get away from this bit by bit, okay, in as much as you can. So, okay, peace in the central position with the beautiful green here. So there is a great deal of energy that is being spent. It could be in hospitals. There could be a health issue here. And like I said, you are expressing this. You are giving this away, and it's a beautiful thing to do. And I feel as though you're doing it freely. It's all coming back to you. That's not the issue. There's a great deal of peacemaking going on here at the same time, so that's beautiful to see too. I just see that it's taking up such a gargantuan amount of time, and more importantly, right, with the time here, but more importantly, energy. And the reason I say that is because we have the Go the Distance card here. There's really only so far you can go. I mean, this race is almost over, but what lay at the end of this race? And because this is facing, you'll notice the positioning that Go the Distance is facing these two cards. So Go the Distance, what lay at the end of that? Peace and relaxation is the goal, I feel, for you. But it is in your best interest this week to really pay attention to this, to really be mindful of this, and to state very clearly, this is not you're not imagining this, you're not being what do some people call it, excessive or whatever. I wouldn't let anyone else call this anything for you. This is exactly how you feel. And the Go to the Distance and the peace, and then with the Time for a Nap, look at how golden and beautiful and rustic this is. And this is really necessary. Like, all living beings need an enormous amount of rest and relaxation that includes solid sleep patterns. And if for whatever reason you're unable to do this, perhaps you're a shift worker and that's what's going on here, and you've been pushing yourself, or been working in a clinical environment, or forced to be clinical and by the book, or forced to be the caretaker, etc. I think at the end of this, it's just safe to say that in order for you to zen out and to get that healthfulness that you truly need this week, I don't think you do have to do a great deal of thinking about this. I think the most important thing about what comes next after this race is won for you, so to speak, is that leave it alone. Right? When this is all done, like I said, when you've gone past this flag, whatever that is for you, and that's over, I want you to do this in your life. So I'm doing this with a card, but do this with you. So just take it out. Okay. So just like, okay, I won, I did it. Stop thinking about it. Don't go back to it. Because it'll go on forever. You'll have to do this forever. You'll have to do this seemingly forever, and there's no end to it because you've considered this is your job. You're an integral part of this. You're responsible. There's a great deal of responsibility here, but you have to stop for your own good. And I'm not saying other people are being advantageous. I'm not saying that. Perhaps they are, but I'm not saying that what's going on. That's for you to decide and for you to assess. What is going on, however, is that for one reason or another, you're being pushed farther than you can be pushed right now. And you really need to slow down and you really need to stop because this is going to be what cracks. Okay, your sense of peace is going to be unhinged somehow, and this and that we all know that if that goes on for any length of time, that's going to lead to problems, and it's not worth it. If you can avoid that this week, Taurus, avoid it. Let someone else do the hard work. Try to say no to something this week. Give yourself at least an hour's worth of relaxation a day. If that's a literal nap, great. If it's just laying down and doing quote unquote nothing, I consider relaxation its own type of effort. But relaxing is part and parcel of healing, and you really require that this week. So please make that an important part of your week, Taurus. One of your final cards here is children. This is beautiful too, because if this does have to do with you specifically, and this is about your children, or where you feel like you're a parent to someone who's behaving as like a child this week or needs a parental figure this week, they could be on their own 2 feet in short time. And this could be what's going on here. It could be the end of this, or the success after reaching this goal is that the child is on his or her own feet, or well enough, or responsible or mature, etc. The other way to look at this, if there's no one else that you're looking after, is that this is about yourself. This is your inner child. This is someone who needs care and respect and a great deal of rest as well. And you can see here, for example, that who do we think of most often when we think who needs a nap? Well, we do think of children and or the elderly or someone who's sick for that matter. But regardless, someone who's vulnerable, someone who needs extra attention, care, concern, effort, pampering, etc. So like I said, if this isn't an individual on the in your life, this could very well be you. And if that's the case, they're just as important, Taurus. Your inner child, your health and well-being is just as important as anybody else's. And that inner child is asking for care and attention this week. And it deserves that. So make sure that when you're contemplating how to help others or how to best improve your own self-care, that you include the inner child here. Now this is interesting for your final card. We have the owl. Its keyword is deception. Now this is interesting on 2 levels as well, because it could be that you are trying to deceive someone else. Not saying you are. I'm just saying, in terms of what do you need to know, are you aware of this high magic energy? Okay, this is also the card of witches and sorcerers. This is a very high magic card. Alternately, what could be happening is this is being projected onto you. So one way or another, this is being projected. Either you're projecting it outward or it's coming into your life. And if that's the case, there's a great deal of deception here. Someone is trying to walk over you. And perhaps even worse, someone's trying to trick you. Or it's another way. I mean, deceive, right? Deception. But someone's trying to get one over on you, or buy you, or you get the gist, okay? So just be aware that there aren't any trip ups in someone from the outside coming in with this type of energy. I wouldn't allow this, because this is such strong sorcerer, witch, priestess energy. Obviously, it can be used for something awful, but just as beautifully, it can be used for something amazing. And that's what the whole point of magic is to be able to use it for its highest good. So if you feel this at all this week, contemplate whether this is about you being exhausted. If you are feeling drained, sometimes it is, for example, easier to get snappy or cranky, right? But it creates a very negative energy, and just be aware that no one is bringing this into your life. They're not allowed to bring this into your life, okay, Taurus? So I'm just going to leave you with some of the final themes here. We have the cards Peace, Go the Distance, Time for a Nap, the Thinker, Children, and the card Deception. So if you have a moment, please let me know what you think of the reading or how this works out for you this week. I'm always curious to learn how this turns out for you, or if it was meaningful or helpful for you. And if you're not already Taurus, make sure you subscribe. I upload videos for your sign every week. So until next time, take good care, and I will see you then.